Imagine going to the grocery store and seeing some kid throwing himself on the floor, yelling and screaming. Some people start to think, oh, look at that bad kid, or somebody needs to be punished when they get home, or even how embarrassing is that to have your kid throw themselves in the middle of the store on the floor. Imagine being that kid and having issues coping with things that most people don't have to deal with, where smells, noises, and even physical touch can cause you pain or some kind of discomfort that you can't communicate. And then you don't know how to process it or communicate it to anybody around you. Today I'm going to speak to you about children with autism and communicating through the barriers of meltdowns. My name is Inez Rivera. I'm a student nurse with Herzing University, and I'm going to talk to you today about what autism is, how meltdowns occur, and how to communicate through the barriers of those meltdowns. Let's start from the beginning. What's autism? Autism is a disorder with variations in diagnosis and treatment. There's issues with sensory processing, challenges. There's speech and language delays and impairments, and they have elusive social skills, and they even have whole child's self-esteem issues. According to the CDC, 1 in 59 children in the U.S. are diagnosed with autism every day. And in the U.S., the Center for Disease Control and Prevention states that there's 1 in 6 children with disabilities in general. Autism is not always a visible disability. Sometimes it's mental. You could see a child physically functioning the same as another child that's not autistic, the same age, but mentally they're not capable of comprehending or articulating anything that a non-autistic child their age would be able to. Because of this, they experience meltdowns and outbursts. An autistic meltdown is when the child's senses are overloaded or they're overstimulated or pushed to their social limits. My cousin is autistic. He often becomes very overbearing in social situations where he feels overloaded with stimuli, whether it be volumes, the amount of people that are there, smells that are around him. He'll start talking really loud and really fast. He starts getting right in your face to speak. He doesn't understand social boundaries at that point, so we have to recognize the triggers and what he's starting to do and remove him from those situations. Sometimes he becomes violent, and in a lot of those cases he seems like a bad, unparented child. But really he just doesn't know how to communicate or to articulate what's going on, that if people just need to be a little more quieter, or if he needs to remove himself from a situation where he's being overstimulated. He also has sensory issues. When he was younger, like 2 or 3, they used to give him showers and he would scream, and my aunt thought she had one of the worst kids in the world and just screamed every time he was getting a bath or anything like that. But we didn't find out till later that the shower actually felt like needles going into his skin, and it was causing him actual pain. So for my cousin, those outbursts were ways to communicate when he couldn't put things into words. Every child communicates in their own way. Even when there's a meltdown, it may seem negative, but you're one step closer to understanding and figuring out your child's triggers and comfort zones. Nonverbal communication is a sign as well. Even autistic children speak a lot through body language. They don't always verbalize everything. Sometimes they can't verbalize things. So their body language is really something that's important to pay attention to. You have to be really in tune with your kids that are autistic to understand and to help prevent these things. Parents have to be able to identify the triggers so that they can remove their children or change the situation so that their children are comfortable and able to communicate what they need in the ways that they can communicate it. Watching and understanding are the only true ways to prevent meltdowns and outbursts. Every child has different coping mechanisms. Some kids need to run and jump around to get all that anxiety out. Some actually need to be physically held or restrained down. It seems cruel, but sometimes my cousin needs to be squeezed. Like, you take your whole body around him and just squeeze him until he tells you to let go because he feels better. Some children actually hit themselves with objects to relieve the anxious energy that they have. And sometimes if you prevent them from doing those things, they can actually injure themselves more, and it can lead to hospitalizations and injuries from meltdowns. When meltdowns and outbursts occur, there's plenty of coping mechanisms to use to deal with them. You can remove the kids from the situation into a non-stimulating, quiet environment, lowering volumes of things, reducing the amount of stimuli that's in the area, lights, sounds, music. You can turn off the lights, have the sound still, or turn down the music and keep the lights. Every situation is different, so you kind of find what's triggering those kids. Yeah, and talking in soft, calm voices helps as well. So today I covered what autism is and emphasized on meltdowns and coping mechanisms for them. You can't always judge a book by its cover. That child that's throwing a fit in the store might not really be bad. He just might be having a bad experience that you don't understand.